Welcome back, From fans. I'm Chris, and now that I'm done being questioned by Kenny and Acosta, let's get right into the clues, theories, and predictions after episode 8. But before we start, quick reminder, please keep the comment section spoiler-free for the rest of the season. Okay, let's get the big one out of the way. Did they finally confirm time travel? Maybe. The question with From has always been, is time linear? Which is how we perceive time right now. The past happened, the future hasn't, and the only way to see either one of them would be time travel. However, the show could be using a version of non-linear time, which implies everything that has happened, is happening, or will happen has already occurred. All the happenings have happened. A causal loop paradox, where event A causes event B, which in turn causes event A, which is basically the plot of The Terminator. So, when the boy in white tells Christopher the answer to the end is the beginning, the question that we really need to figure out is, when is the beginning? But it may not be time travel at all. It could be different parallel dimensions crossing over into one another because the town is a nexus point. We do see a fair amount of symbolism for the town being in the middle of different portals and dimensions. Or we're looking at some version of astral projection where Julie's consciousness is reliving a moment that already happened in a prior life or cycle. It's important to remember that when Boyd was stuck in the hole, he may have been in a liminal space, the in-between. He may have been physically laying in those rooms the entire time he was climbing with the rope, just like Julie was laying there when she tossed it to him. And remember, we even saw a different version of Alice appear at the bottom of the shaft, telling Boyd to hurry up because they were going to take the boat out, which means this liminal space he was in could allow other times or realities to phase in and out. So what did Julie see when she was in this liminal space? We know she heard Tabitha and Victor in the caves after the floor collapsed. But it's the next part that I found the most interesting. When she hears the kids in white screaming, it looks like a cavern is being lit by a firelight, and the screams that are coming from it are pretty intense. So could she have been looking at the origin moment when the kids in white were sacrificed? Are those the same screams she's been hearing in her head the whole time that's been driving her crazy? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Drop them in the comments. Now, what about the rest of the town? Because it's rapidly approaching a breaking point. Trust in leadership is at an all-time low, and with a murderer on the loose, it's only a matter of time before the villagers get rowdy and have their torches and pitchforks at the ready. And this should come as no surprise because this isn't the first time we've seen the mob mentality take over the town, and I can't blame them. As much as I love Boyd and usually have his back, Donna's right. This approach is wrong. And as we see in the last scenes of this episode, the choice he's making to leave Fatima alone may have been the decision that completes this cycle in the most terrifying way. And it seems our mild-mannered Elgin has become the new Sarah, believing what he's helping usher in will save everyone. But I gotta say, if I'm Elgin and part of the plan requires a jar full of my blood, I have questions, because it seems like a red flag. Now, we don't know exactly what the blood's for, but I have to assume it's nourishment for Fatima or the baby or both. Either way, Fatima's fate looks pretty grim, and if she somehow survives this, I can't imagine a scenario where she walks out of this mentally stable and okay. Alright, let's circle back around to Victor and the boy in white, because this scene tells us a few things. First, it again confirms Victor is an unreliable narrator, and that his drawings are most likely more accurate than his memories. 2, the boy in white wanted Christopher to go through the tree and save the children and not Miranda, which begs the question, why did Miranda think she needed to save the children after her acid trip? Why did she see countless others that tried to save the children fail? Could it be that the show is saying that life is cyclical, where the end leads back to the beginning? And if the boy in white is trying to break that cycle by nudging Christopher into a role that he normally doesn't play? And this could be similar to why he pushes Tabitha out of the lighthouse and tells her that this is the only way. Because if they are in a loop, it may take a being or an entity that's outside the loop that can manipulate time or reality to change the predetermined events that they keep going through over and over and over again. It's no secret that the show has hinted at cycles and reincarnation as a possible answer, but the last few episodes have really been driving this point home, which makes Kenny telling Christy at the end of season 2 that a thread cannot see the whole sweater, and maybe they may not go home, but what they do will help the next group finally make it out. And this could be a cycle of life interpretation where their souls are learning lessons and gaining experiences at the end of one cycle that'll help them in the next. The scene between Jim, Jade, and Henry really stands out because during Jim's heart-to-heart, you really begin to see the similarities between the two men's situations, and you feel like you're looking at two sides of the same coin. And we learn that Jim had gone to the bar after Julie was born, which may be where he lost the bracelet and not the hospital. Maybe this was a crossroads moment for Jim, like others have had in the show, where like Schrodinger's cat, there was a version that took the drink and a version who left the drink. Okay, let's move over to the most ambiguous character in the show. What about Eloise? The information that we get about how she's so good at hide and seek and Victor could never find her cannot be a throwaway line, especially since hiding is how everyone survived before the talismans. I mean, hide and seek is essentially the game the monsters play every night. Is she alive out there? Is she the one making the odd noises at the settlement? Hopefully this gets revealed by the end of the season, but either way, I want to hear your thoughts on this, so put your theories and thoughts about what or who is making the sounds at the settlement in the comments. Lastly, there is an interesting drawing in Henry's car that I thought was worth bringing up, but I didn't really know where to fit it in during the episode, so here it is. When Henry and Tabitha are driving to the park to see the original bottle tree, we can see a subtle crayon drawing on the dashboard. We see it when Tabitha finds the bracelet and when she hits her head during the accident. It looks like a child with long hair on the left and a swing set next to a house, just like the one that we see in town. So the question is, how would either Victor or Eloise know to draw this? Were they also having visions, or maybe remembering where they had been before? Either way, it lends a little more credence to the idea that they may have been there before in one form or another. And that'll wrap it up. As usual, we want to hear your thoughts, and if you have a topic that we didn't cover in the show, leave it in the comments so we can discuss. Lastly, if you like what we're doing, please take a second to let us know by liking and subscribing. It helps out the channel a lot, and we really do appreciate it. Until next time, stay sleuthy.